What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls podcast coming up for y'all right around the corner. The Thunder triumphant in Game 7 of the NBA Finals last night. Former Bull Alex Caruso getting that love and his second ring. Should this be the last time we rehash the Giddey for Caruso trade? Plus, fallout from another devastating injury to Haliburton. Is the East wide open? Can the Bulls make some noise in it? Plus, the Kevin Durant trade. What could transpire as a ripple effect between now and draft night? Next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Day. Bow, bow. BAWL Sports. Bow. Will the Go Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed with the Burks out. Will_Gottlieb. And the king of the controls today, one and only, Sean Anderson. What up, Sean? Hey, what up, buddy? Hey. How them socks doing?
Welcome back, because your back's effed up.
Hey, that guy.
Only halfway.
Not just a hat rack, ladies and gents.
Hey.
That's a good young
How we all doing? Thanks for holding down the fort. Appreciate
I wore my
y'all.
Jesus pieces in honor of Matt coming back today.
Boom.
The Air Jesus 6s, right on.
We were just talking with Tone earlier before you walked in about how you are not a Burks guy.
At all.
We've been trying.
Not any stretch of the imagination, not my thing. Some flip-flops,
Yeah.
I'll rock that all daily. But
Slides?
Burks, slides. Well, slides more than flip-flops, absolutely. But I'll just say flip-flops. But yeah, slides every day of my life. I got some slides. But Burks it's just not my forte, man. It's not my thing, bro.
Not your Matt Forte?
No, not my Matt Forte, man. Not my John Forte.
Fair enough.
It's not my thing.
I was relieved when the doctor told me that my Burks wearing habitually was not a leading contributing factor to my back being all messed up.
Did he say?
Because I was afraid that they were like, you can't wear Burks anymore.
Sure. Is there anything you can't wear?
Hey, knock on wood. Not that they've told me so far.
Okay.
But it's mostly just, my nagging mother. He's like, you shouldn't wear Burks.
My nagging, loving mother.
Yeah. Shout out, Ma. I love you. They have no support. Blah, blah, blah. They're bad for your feet.
Is she right?
I don't know. The doctor told me I could keep wearing them, so I'm gonna. Oh, guys, big news that we got to get to right out of the gate. It is, of course, NBA and NHL draft week. It is also Make Your Move week. We are running another Die Hard sale promotion this week, and it is live right now. Unlock your premium access and exclusive perks for just $36 for your first year upon signing up. That is 55% off a Die Hard membership. You get bonus perks of all kinds, access to all the writing of our great reporters and writers here at CHGO, allchgo.com, all the great stuff Goat's been writing, including that great column from a couple days ago, going scorched earth on a certain member or two of the Bulls front office. And then, of course, the Die Hard Draft Guide, available now for the next 48 hours. Get your homework done. All of that great stuff in the Die Hard Draft Guide for diehards only. $36 right now. What are you waiting for? Sign up!
Sign up. Get that.
Get it.
Get that big board from Will to Go Gottlieb as well, ladies.
Yeah, I got to do one more tweak or so. Maybe 2 or 3 more tweaks to the big board. We should have a mock draft coming out tomorrow with Bodner and I. I don't know. Last couple times we've done like alternating picks. Maybe we'll do it together and include some trades. I don't really know yet, but we're going to do something tonight, so look out for that. That will be behind the Die Hard paywall. And then, all of our draft coverage. I mean, I cannot believe it's this week. We are just days away.
We made it.
Like, the NBA season
My God.
is over officially.
The Bulls was over a month and a half ago.
The Bulls was over
2
months.
2 months? 2 months ago.
About to say, go tell me 2 months.
More than 2 months ago.
Yeah. I was
wow.
a little surprised by that. But
great job, guys.
Yeah.
But, it's like 2 days off and we're back at it. And there's already been major trades.
Yeah.
I mean, the NBA cycle just never stops.
I love how, Phoenix and Houston were like, hey, when a deal's ready, a deal's ready.
Yeah.
Screw Game 7 tipping off in a matter of hours.
Exactly.
We got to make this Durant trade.
Yeah, we're going to do it while he's on stage.
Yeah. We will touch on that KD trade a little bit later. But speaking of that finals Game 7, just devastating, that you see this quick catch fire moment from Haliburton, who does play despite the lingering calf issue. And then, it was almost a shot-for-shot remake of Kevin Durant in the 2019 NBA Finals, dealing with a nagging injury, trying to play through it because it's the finals. And then you hate those slow-motion pops, right? When you see the replay and you can just watch his Achilles go, I'm done.
Right.
Obviously, nothing but all of the positive vibes to Haliburton as he goes through his probably now long and grueling offseason of rehab and recovery after a surgery. But is still the headline. The Thunder triumphant. After a 68-win regular season, they get it done. They are the champions, the 7th different champ in 7 years. Kudos to them.
Yeah, congratulations to them. Game was over when Haliburton kind of went down. I didn't even watch the fourth quarter. The game was just done, though. And it was really disappointing because Haliburton, Indiana was, you had to start it like that, Indiana was winning. They were coming out to take their soul early.
Oh, yeah.
And the energy was theirs. And OKC was still figuring out what they kind of needed to do. And I still don't think they put on a great offensive dominating performance, but they did defensively for sure. Especially with Haliburton being out and having to depend on other guys to try to handle the basketball for that length of time. You saw the issues immediately. But the way they fought just the entire game was great to see for them. They never quit. They never gave up. They didn't make the excuse.
Had a 1-point lead at halftime.
They really did. Yes, they really did. And, yeah, man, I was really kind of proud of just how they played. And that's why I was so kind of high on them all the way up until to the finals, I should say. But, yeah, it just sucked to see Haliburton go down. And it was in the same exact place he got the calf strain, doing the same exact kind of move. And, yeah, man, it was just – I saw the pop once. I didn't want to see it again. Please stop showing me close-up videos of this on the internet. Yeah, just stop doing that. You know what I mean?
Oh, how brutal. Let's see that.
Replay. Right. What
the worst part about it was that, this whole finals and really, part of the reason why there was the whole Tyrese Haliburton is overrated narrative is because he wasn't primary scorer, 30 points a night kind of guy. And so – he comes out in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, something that every kid dreams about who loves basketball, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He comes out firing, goes 3 of 4 on threes, 9 points in the first 5 or whatever it was minutes. And, they were ahead. They were looking like they were playing their game and they were going to control the game. And, obviously, it was so early on that who knows what would have happened. It's quite possible that OKC would have just come back and won, even if Haliburton had stayed healthy. But to fight through the calf strain in Game 6, look good, put on that masterful performance that pushed it to Game 7, and then to have this opportunity that truly is once in a lifetime. And there hasn't been a Game 7 of an NBA Finals in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 16 Cavs Warriors was the last time.
So 9 years, I guess. But either way, it's so devastating to see a guy like that who's so likable and who plays with so much joy and represents this just exciting, fun, egalitarian, high-paced, offensive-oriented, physical, effort-based offensive and really defensive style. And then to see him go down like that was just brutal. And obviously he's probably going to miss all of next season now, so it's not just this one game where he lost it, but this just has huge implications for the Pacers and what they're going to do. They just made this trade to get their pick back. We're going to talk about that, but just a sad setting and really ripped away what was the first 5 minutes of what could have been a really incredible Game 7. And then obviously they played well for the first half, but like you said, it just wasn't quite that same. And it wasn't really anything close to what we saw or what we should have gotten to see and expected to see.
Yeah. And each team had nights that were in this series where they didn't shoot particularly well. The Thunder I saw it was one of the worst, if not the worst, 3-point shooting percentage of a championship team over the last 20 years in the finals series. But they make enough shots. SGA, what was it, 29 and 12. Yeah. Got a lot of his damage done at the free throw line. But to me, the biggest story of Game 7, aside from Haliburton going down, and that, of course, being an advantage for OKC, and maybe Haliburton not controlling the ball in his absence as much, was turnovers.
Yeah.
Like, this is an elite Thunder team defensively. We've been talking about it all season, and it was the big matchup of, like, yo, this Pacers offense that is relentless. They play fast. They never let up against that caliber of a defensive team from the Thunder. And, I mean, the turnover battle and points off turnover battle hugely in the Thunder's favor last night.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it all kind of happened after Tyrese went down. Even just the way they were denying the ball to certain players was fun to watch. They started with Caruso in this game to let you know how serious they were about the defense they were trying to play. Like I said, I thought they played incredible defense the entire game from the first quarter on with Tyrese and without. There's no defense for that kind of shot that Tyrese Haliburton was hitting. But the defense they were just playing in general was really great. And obviously it got ramped up and went a little bigger when he went out. And I thought Wallace played great. I mean, all of them just really knew their role because they're a better team at home, obviously, than they are on the road. There's much more confidence there. But, yeah, man, I don't want to – it's hard because I don't want to take away from OKC winning a championship because no matter how it happened, you walk away with the championship. You walk away with the title, and that's how history is going to write that. You know, you get the championship. But, you know, it's just – I don't think we're doing it justice by not saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Like, I can't put them on that mountain with those other teams who have won 65-plus games and a title. You know what I mean? Like, just by seeing how it, you know, panned out here because you got easily, you know, got up out of here. You know what I'm saying on this one, man? But still, in fact, they won it. That's the end goal. That's what you're supposed to do. You play who's in front of you, and they walked away with the trophy. And again, like I said, they played their brand of basketball on the defensive side.
Yeah, and I think for the Thunder, it's like it's not an asterisk for me, but it's just like an unfortunate thing.
Yeah,
where like what you're going to remember about this game is the injury. To
Yeah,
Haliburton. Like
yeah.
that's like what is sort of like seared into my brain when I think about this. So, you know, I think the Thunder were an incredible team. I do want to spend some time talking about like the way that they built up and like Presti and the job that he's done as it relates to Arturas. Obviously, the Caruso trade. We don't need to like relitigate that whole thing, but just everything. We don't need to do it right now. Okay, we can't. But we don't.
Yeah, we do.
You better because it's the title of the podcast.
But like just everything about the way that they built this team up, the patience, the accumulation of picks, building from within, building through the draft. I mean, just really a masterclass. And so to see it come to fruition that way, when it seems like a year ago they were talking about like not having finished their breakfast yet, and now they're NBA champions. Like, this team is so freaking good. They're dominant in every way. They can play big. They can play small. They're one of the best defenses in the modern era. They have one of the best offensive players in the modern era. I mean, I think Shea is on a fast track now to being like an all-time great player if this obviously keeps up.
Sure.
68 wins and a title, an MVP, a finals MVP. And they're just getting started. Like, they aren't super expensive.
Yeah.
They can keep this thing going. They aren't even in the luxury tax.
And still have a giant cache of unused first-round draft
And their lottery
picks.
pick last year didn't even play a game. So, like,
Oh, my
they
God.
are just loaded. And you credit, obviously, Sam Presti for building it their own way, finding the right pieces, not sacrificing the team's identity to go out and take big swings that they didn't need to do. And so to have that vindication for him, I think, is really cool. But also just a sign that, like, that way of building is possible. And not only is it possible, but it can produce the best result, which is 68 wins and like success, sustained success.
Yeah.
And there was a clip of him talking about building it in a way that like would allow them to arrive and not just appear. And I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it and think about the way that they are going about this. I know every year we say, well, look, the Celtics, they're primed for a dynasty. The Nuggets are primed for a dynasty. Like every year you could say that, but it really feels different with this Thunder team because they're so young and because they're so well equipped to not only keep this thing alive, but keep improving on it with all the assets that they have.
Yeah, kind of along those same lines, Rob in the comments just pointing out, every time we think there's a dynasty coming, the next year we see two totally different teams. Is there a possibility this happens again? Like, odds-on favorites to win the championship next year has got to be the Thunder. Today, it's the Thunder.
Yeah.
No question, a 68-win regular season team. And then the way that – although, like, dude, they were pushed to three Game 7s or two? Two. So it was the Denver series and then the finals.
one, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like they just lollygag their way
not-
to winning it. But
they're not like indestructible, untouchable, but they are very well
they're
positioned.
primed.
to
They're
compete.
primed to contend to repeat. With that, let's knock out a couple ads. When we come back on the other side. More on this Thunder model, Caruso's role in it, and can we rehash the Giddey thing for the last time? Stay tuned. Hit the like.
Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. NBA season is over, and that means the special offer for basketball is no longer, but new customers can now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code CHGO365, deposit 10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, whether or not your bet wins. And with Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. That's for MLB season, which is underway and kicking. Log into the Bet 365 app, sign up, and use code CHGO365. Deposit $10 and place your 3-leg same-game parlay for a $1 minimum bet. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. In-app only. Terms and conditions apply. Opt-in required.
Making money moves should be just like our guy Sean Anderson. Should be solid and very smooth. And guess what? You can do that with Cash App. No extra hoops to jump through, no extra stress, no woozies, and for the love of Will the Goat Gottlieb, no wazzies at all. And for a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some extra cash. There's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code CHGO Bulls in your profile. Send $5 to a friend, and within 14 of them days, you will get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. Why? Because that's Cash App.
Rolling along here, CHGO Bulls on a fresh Monday, hanging out, Peck, Big Dave, Goat. Don't forget, as I mentioned at the top, we got a new Die Hard sale going on to honor the excitement of NBA and NHL draft weeks being here. Just $36 for your first year. Sign up now. That brings us to a segment we call Taking the Temp. From Four Seasons Heating and Cooling, of course. Your trusted local experts at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. So as we take the temp of, maybe for the final time, how Bulls fans feel. And look, guys, I saw as that game was winding down last night, and then Caruso at the champions, podium, and his getting his turn on the mic. It wasn't surprising to me, a little bit frustrating and also kind of amusing that Bulls fans, however they felt about the Caruso for Giddey trade over the last now year and 2 days. It was June 20 to June 22, that year span from the trade to Caruso being a champion. It's like relitigating or trying to double down on how they feel about it, or wherever you are on the Giddey for Caruso trade thing. Like, I saw people trying to take away from Caruso's impact on this championship Thunder team. Mm-hmm. I saw people, myself included, saying how great for Caruso, and by God, yeah, you better believe that he was an important piece of this Thunder team. Shout out to our guy Ricky O'Donnell, who said, Presti should send AK a ring for that trade. Because Thunder don't win this championship without Alex Caruso. Some people might say that that's a bridge too far to make that claim. I think you can make that claim. Yeah. When you think about it, and mentioning the Thunder capitalizing in points off turnovers last night, they're the steals Caruso gets credited for in the box score, and then there are the other extraneous Caruso making things happen, winning loose balls, generating steals in different ways that he might not get credit for. Caruso was a stud in this series. Oh, by the way, he had 2 20-point games in the finals.
And also, I think there's a leadership element and a having been there before, captain the ship element that obviously you can't quantify on the court. But you saw these videos of him teaching Isaiah Hartenstein and the entire team how to do champagne showers. Yeah. Because they didn't know. Yeah. But he's been there because he's done it before.
Thing I had ever seen.
And I just think Caruso's impact on this team, there's really, I'll say when you talk about Caruso to other league executives, especially over the last couple of years when he was still on the Bulls, they'll say this dude is worth $30 million a year. Like, that's the kind of impact that he has. And it's not in the same traditional sense of even Haliburton being this, like, dominant scorer. Obviously, Haliburton, a far superior offensive player. But I do think that impact for Caruso is not quite fully captured by certainly, like, a casual removed fan base. And I don't say that, like, pejoratively. It's just that what he does is so, like, specific to understanding how teams are going to try to score on you, where you need to be defensively, coaching guys up, telling them where to be, teaching them how to come to work every day. Like, so much of that stuff goes on behind the scenes. And I think he's one of the best in the league at doing what he does in that way. And so there's also a quote from a story that Kelly Iko of The Athletic wrote that I wanted to read, talking about, like, the culture that the Thunder and Sam Presti has built. And he said, "It's a mantra that Oklahoma City has adopted, being cognizant of the moment, whatever the moment is, supersedes anything else. And it's especially pertinent to Caruso, the Thunder's most dependable two-way player, the happy medium between small ball and size, the X factor to head coach Mark Daignault's system. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the water that carries this organization on a nightly basis. But Caruso is the straw that stirs the drink. Without him, none of this works. The smartest players learn early on what their role is to maximize it to the fullest capacity. Caruso, now a two-time NBA champion, is that." And I think that's, like, spot on. I mean, he's not the kind of guy that's going to dominate the box score or dominate possession, but he has an impact on the game that I think, I mean, you could argue was, like, second or third most valuable during the finals. Obviously, guarding Jokic in Game 7. Like, they do not get to this point without Caruso. And I think it was really cool to just see the way that, like, Mike Breen and Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke would talk about him on the broadcast and him getting that recognition, because with LA, he wasn't that kind of player yet. And with the Bulls, he wasn't on that kind of stage. Right. Now he's that kind of player on that stage, and now a huge piece of why they were able to win that ring. And so obviously just awesome for him that he can accomplish that. But I do think that his impact on the Thunder just cannot be understated.
It's beautifully said. Yeah, I don't have nothing to add to that. That was wonderfully said.
Grandmama's Flight School in the comments saying OKC was trading for a final piece for a chip and needed AC. There were a few players that do what AC does. They were moving Josh. AK lost the trade. If AC is traded now, how many picks does he get? Which I think is what most Bulls fans just kept coming back to, who are having a hard time getting over it. And maybe unfairly, like, created a lens through which they viewed Josh Giddey and his role on this team and his future role on this team, because Bulls fans, a lot of us thought, how do you not get at least a draft pick out of that trade? And some would say, well, it's because this guy is a oft-injured role player vet who they're going to have to pay a bigger contract than what he's been making with the Bulls. And Josh Giddey's young. He's got experience, which AK loved, but he's young, and there is a longer line of potential usefulness of Josh Giddey as he continues to improve theoretically and develop into his NBA career than the value that Caruso was providing the Bulls on a Bulls team going nowhere. And I think both sides of that argument are fair. The biggest hang up to me was always AK. How did you not get more at the negotiating table, even if Josh Giddey is really what you wanted?
I think that's why. It's exactly why. Is when you identify, and you saw this with Desmond Bane, when you identify a target, you lose leverage. And so when you go after a specific player, now Sam Presti's at the bargaining table saying, well, I want your guy, but you want my guy, so let's just do the swap. Whereas if you're saying, let's let the best offers come to us, we're going to take the highest, send them to the highest bidder, that puts you in a position where teams have to come and beat that. And even if they had said, we're going to let teams come to us with the highest offer, and Presti came in with Giddey, then they could have said, put a pick on and we'll do it. And obviously, the fact that there wasn't a pick involved in this trade, to me, this is not reporting, it's just reading the tea leaves, to me indicates that Arturas went to Presti to ask for Giddey, and that's how this trade went down. And I think as soon as you are the one making the call, asking about a player, you lose leverage. And I think that's just kind of the way it is.
The second you said that, I immediately think of the Vooch trade. And I remember the report that came out where AK told the GM of Orlando, hey, man, don't make a move yet. Don't make a move yet. We need to talk. I remember that report that when it came out, and that everything to what you're saying just plays into that, because look at what was given up. You know what I'm saying? Because he identified it. I want it no matter what. What's it going to take? And when they got you bent over like that, hey.
But here's the deal. Like, I do think so. Okay, one of the things that AK has said about this trade was that the Thunder got something that they wanted, and the Bulls got something that they wanted.
Yes,
and I think that's true. Like,
but isn't that for every trade?
Not necessarily. Like, if you look at I don't know what off the top of my head, but like even the Kevin Durant trade, like I don't think the Suns got what they wanted out of that.
But they got something they wanted.
They got something, but it wasn't like. I mean, they were looking for the kind of package that they paid to get Kevin Durant in the first place.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think that, like, I think oftentimes there's a winner and a loser to trades. I think oftentimes it's not a win-win. And I think you could spin it as a win-win because, yes, the Bulls needed an engine to the car and not rims, to use the analogy that you always use, Dave. And they got one. The problem is that the way that I think, based on my read of the situation again, they lost leverage in those negotiations, and that's what caused them to not get more back in that. And so for me, like, I do think that the truth is somewhere in the middle. Like, I think there's a huge segment of the fan base that's just, like, doesn't like Giddey, thinks that he's too flawed of a player to ever be anything, and that he's never going to be worth what the Bulls paid to get him. And there's a segment of the fan base that, like, loves Giddey, loves the triple doubles, loves his impact on the game, enjoys watching him because he is a really fun player to watch, but doesn't acknowledge that even though he has been really good and even though he maybe exceeded what I thought or anybody thought he would be in his first season with the Bulls, that still Arturas could have gotten more had he handled the negotiations differently. I come down somewhere in the middle where I think both of those things are true. I think Giddey was better than I thought he was going to be. I think he improved in ways that I didn't anticipate, and I think he can keep improving. And to me, that's why the discussion or like the evaluation of this trade for me, I think you always start out from a place of you could have gotten more, because I think that if they had handled the negotiations differently, they would have. But I also think until we know what Giddey is being paid on his next contract, it's hard to really evaluate that. And you look at Caruso's extension, $17 million per year. Like, Giddey could be making 10 or close to double that. Sure. And like that factors in too.
I mean, you're talking about like, well,
not to mention the fact that the Thunder just won the finals and the Bulls couldn't make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. Talking about each team getting the thing that they wanted out of a trade and how frequently that happens versus, a good compromise. Everybody goes away unhappy to some degree. But like the way I look at it, there's like 4 quadrants. It's like, yes, the Bulls wanted Josh Giddey and got Josh Giddey.
Yes.
The Thunder wanted Alex Caruso and got Alex Caruso. The Thunder also wanted, or were certainly more than willing to, get rid of Josh Giddey. He was not in their long-term plans after they said, how do you feel about maybe coming off the bench this upcoming season? And we'll see where we go from there. And Giddey said, nah. All right, we'll look to find you a trade out of here.
Right.
The Bulls did not, because AK is obsessed with everybody he signs, want to get rid of Alex Caruso. That, to me, is the difference of those 4 quadrants. Like, yes, wanted this player. The Bulls had a piece that the Thunder desperately wanted that the Bulls were not hot to get rid of, because we were talking about trading Alex Caruso a year before. Sell high on this guy, right?
I actually think that they were trying to get rid of him, and not in the sense of like, we're done with this guy, but they probably knew this is our last chance to get good value. And so when you pass up on multiple opportunities, the price does go down. They could not have gotten as much last summer as they could have at the previous trade deadline because he had one fewer playoff run. But I think that they went to Oklahoma City.
Right.
And that tells me that they were trying to capitalize on Caruso based on his value at that time, and that they felt that Giddey was equal value. And I think that is just a valuation that like I personally disagree with, but also that it's okay to disagree about that. Like, that's just player evaluation. People are going to have different opinions. To me, it's like you were in a position of leverage and power and you didn't exercise it. And that's the part where it's like, okay, yes, there can be disagreement about the value of a player, but the evaluation of the negotiation itself, I think, is not very arguable.
I think that's fair. You can put it more simply, though. Like, as you just mentioned, hey, the Thunder won the title and the Bulls. Too early to evaluate the trade. Let's see what the Giddey contract is. Let's see what Giddey does. To me, you can also put it very plainly. Until the Bulls win a championship with Giddey being a key piece, the Thunder won the trade.
The Thunder got exactly what they wanted. They got rid of Josh Giddey and got a championship.
Ipso facto, I'm your boss. We got to knock out a couple ads when we come back. Meanwhile, devastating for the Pacers, yet another Eastern Conference contender losing a big player to injury. Is it open for the Bulls? We'll talk about it next. Today's show brought to you by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. What is Sunnyside? It's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. A place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to help elevate your summer. It's your one-stop shop for all of your cannabis needs with an expertly curated menu featuring over 100 different strains to choose from. Plus, they offer easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Get in, get out, get on with your day on these beautiful, glorious summer days. They've got locations all over the greater Chicagoland area, all over the grand state of Illinois, even down there in Champaign, all the way up to South Beloit, plus, of course, those city locations in Wrigleyville and River North. Visit Sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Just use promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 and older and Illinois MedCard holders.
You know, there are certain rules in life, ladies and gentlemen. One rule right now is don't hug Matt Peck, don't touch the quaff, and please, for the love of God, don't get biffed. Don't go to a big box store and have Biff 16-year-old self walk in trying to tell you what to do. He don't know what's going on. Stay at home and get that shop at home convenience that you only get from Empire Today. They're flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals whose focus is on flooring every single day. You get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing, plus you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount using that promo code CHGO. That's $350 discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details. 588-2300. Sean.
Empire
Today. Silky.
Silk, dude. I was thinking silky.
Very silky.
Rolling along here, CHGO Bulls Pod on a Monday, hanging out in studio.
Silky Sean.
Silky Sean. Has Sean ever not been silky? I don't think so.
Not that I know.
Just another reminder, y'all. It's the Make Your Move Die Hard promo going on now. Sign up. Just $36 intro offer for your first year. Get all those incredible perks that our diehards get. The free shirt of your choice. 20% off every time you shop at that merch locker. And, of course, the all-important today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, the GOAT created, beautiful, monstrous Die Hard draft guide. Sign up. All right, guys. So as we shift from the Thunder, kudos to them, to the Pacers and the rest of the East, obviously, again, just awful, devastating end to an incredible postseason run for Haliburton last night. People have already started talking about what does the East mean coming into next season now? Who's at the top of it? The Celtics lose Tatum in their playoff run, and people are talking about their luxury tax situation. Do they maybe try and pivot towards the bottom for a year? And then surge back when Tatum is healthy. Maybe there's a lot of Jaylen Brown trade rumors going around. The Bucks. Sounds like they're planning on keeping Giannis. Giannis hasn't asked out officially, but you lose Dame. Another big injury that we saw in this year's postseason. Yeah. Then you got like the young upstart teams like Orlando, who, you know, of course, made that big trade just a week ago. You got Detroit, who gave the Knicks a good fight in the first round. You have the Knicks. Fired their coach. Have they hired a new one yet? No, I don't think so. Cool. We'll see what's going on with that. But everybody's asking, like, if the East wasn't wide open before, it certainly appears to be now.
Yeah, the East is wide open. I still think, you know, your top four kind of thing. Like, you got Cleveland, you're going to have Boston, you're going to have
the two favorites, neither of which made the conference finals.
Correct.
Crazy.
But they'll still be there.
Right.
They'll still be in there in that top four for sure. But after that, I think that's where it gets fun. And I think that's where it's very wide open. You saw Orlando and what they've done. You mentioned Desmond Bane already. That already makes them a super issue. You know how good Detroit was. And they are not going to get worse. They are just absolutely going to get better. You saw what they what they went out there and they did. You know, teams like Philly is going to be better. You know, teams. I think even a team like Toronto is going to go up a little more. I don't know how far up, but they'll be in that kind of mix. Atlanta is always kind of hovering around there in that kind of mix.
Toronto was right where the Bulls were until they started losing on purpose.
Right.
In the standings.
They started not caring. But we'll see what it looks if they trade RJ Barrett or not. we'll see what that team ends up. But they've got all the Raptors and all the guys on their team that they need to actually be really good. Well, hold on.
Sorry.
But after that, you know what I mean? The team that you have is like the Bulls. And you're looking at a team like the Bulls and you're like, well, did you improve on your model that you were last year? And it's like, not really. We just kind of double down and we're going to run it out again and see if these guys are willing to, go do their thing and move up. I hope it works out. I really, truly do. Because contrary to probably believe, I don't want to watch a bad Bulls team. I want to watch good Bulls basketball all the time. But I'm just not completely sold that that's what it's going to be. I really hope it is. But just looking at how these other teams improved and then seeing, and I'm sure these other GMs are looking and seeing like, hey, we got a shot. And I didn't even mention Indiana. But, hey, we got a shot out here. We saw Indiana go ahead and win. We got a chance to go out here and do something. Let's see what we can add and get better. These other teams are going to do that. Are the Bulls going to be in that kind of mix to say, hey, these teams are moving up? Should we be one of those teams that tries to move up as well? It doesn't feel like it, and it doesn't seem like it. Feels like they're kind of determined to run that back. So, yes, they can move up, but, like, into that top 6, man, with these other teams and what they're doing, I just really don't know.
Yeah, I think when you say the East is wide open, it means that it's wide open at the top in the sense that there is now no more Indiana, who is the Eastern Conference champ. There is probably at least no more Boston in the sense that, like, Tatum is not going to be there in the playoffs next year. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a real chance that they start stripping down some parts to get out of the second apron, if not the entire tax, because the repeater tax is brutal, and
a lot of other old money on those books too.
Right,
yeah.
And so if they could get off of Drew Holiday or Porzingis, that saves them like a lot of money moving forward, and then it allows them to then reinvest in the team once Tatum is back and healthy. So that's like 2 of the top 4 teams. Obviously, New York will still be there, but who knows what they're going to do with their roster, and also who knows if they're going to be as committed to the regular season as a Tom Thibodeau-led team is.
Parentheses answer, they won't be.
Could they possibly take a small step back during the regular season to be ready and more physically just healthy and rested going into the playoffs? You look at the Bucks, obviously Damian Lillard's out. You look at so many of these teams are just decimated right now with injuries. I feel pretty strongly that the Magic will be taking a big step forward next year. I feel like Desmond Bane really helps them. But like, the Cavs probably will do a similar thing to what I mentioned as the Knicks, where they're going to be a powerhouse in the regular season, but are they going to maybe take it a little bit more easily just to be ready for the playoffs? And I think as we talk about all these teams, which is not even to mention the Pistons, who I think could take a step forward, the Raptors, as you said, who are basically gaining Brandon Ingram as a free agent this year, the 76ers, who knows what they'll do, who knows about Embiid's health. The Hawks, I think, are always going to be right there with the Bulls. The Heat are always going to be right there with the Bulls. I mean, that's 10 or 11 teams that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. And so I think
Bulls Heat playing, book it.
The East is wide open in terms of which team can advance, but I don't think that like the depth is gone. I don't think that this just means the Bulls are going to elevate into the top 4 by virtue of the fact that Haliburton and Damian Lillard are hurt, right? It's like all these teams are kind of on the same level, and maybe the Bulls take a step forward into that level. But I don't think that this is just like open runway for them to now advance. It's like they still have a lot of work to do to even get to the point where they're in that same group. Because again, this is a team that, unlike the Pacers, who leveled up in the playoffs, who reached a new point of physicality and just like caught magic and fire in the bottle or whatever like cliche you want to use. The Bulls like had a fun stretch run, but then they lost when it counted. They lost in the one game. Like, you can say it's a 1-game sample. At the end of the day, that game counted more than a regular season game.
Facts.
Like, that matters to me. That counts for something more. And so if you're going to say making the postseason matters and that is like an accomplishment, then you also have to be willing to take it on the chin when you lose that game.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that the Bulls are just there yet. And maybe they improve. I'm not saying they can't. Maybe they reorient the team. Maybe Giddey takes a step forward, Modest. All these things can happen. But just because guys got hurt, to me, does not make this a wide open East in the sense that the Bulls have unlimited runway. There's going to be more competition, and maybe they win more in the regular season because they can take a game off the Celtics now and they can take a game off the Pacers. But to me, this doesn't like change where the Bulls are in the standings. It just changes who could potentially move up and come out of the East.
Our guy Rob, bless his heart, one of the optimists always hanging out in the chat, saying the Bulls had the right guy at 12. They're also a sleeper pick. Meanwhile, Alex saying it's open for the Bulls to make the playoffs. We are galaxies away from the finals. Fine Day in the chat saying no matter how many injuries that have happened, it hasn't changed where the Bulls will be next season. We are not good enough. We don't have a star. We don't have a vision other than, quote, play fast. Well, hey, that's a vision, and it worked for the Pacers all the way to the finals.
But yeah, like the Pacers thing, as I mentioned, they got so good defensively. Like if you want to say like let's play like the Pacers, let's make the finals. Like where's your Andrew Nembhard who's going to lock up Shea? As best as anybody can do. That was one of the best defensive performances I've seen. He was incredible. He was. Where's your Aaron Nesmith?
Yeah.
Where's your Siakam?
Yeah.
Where's your rim protector and Miles Turner?
Yeah.
Like the Bulls don't have any of that stuff. They play fast, but
where's your Tony Bradley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just I feel like they have a similar offensive identity, but that doesn't make them as good a team.
I will say this. Every year there is a team that is unexpectedly going to go up and a team that is unexpectedly going to go down. It happens every year, in the East. And this year, what was it? Philly. Philly was definitely that team.
Ooh,
that
boy, they steer into that tank hard.
Yeah, and Indiana was the team that went up. So that part is always the unknown.
Yeah.
So if you can hang your hat on that, you can hang your hat right there for sure.
The other part that, and I am in agreement with you, is just because of some key players and even star players on Eastern Conference teams that finished above the Bulls last season, and even with those injuries could finish above them again. It was like, can the Bulls climb from where they were? Well, where they were was 10th, right? Oh, I'm sorry, 9th. That play-in tournament game was at home. Forgive me. They were 9th with 39 wins. I think some Bulls fans who are trying to see a rosy picture here between maybe some East teams not being as strong as last year because of various injuries and the Bulls maybe getting better, they started 18-20 last season. Our beloved Bulls did. How many of those wins were because Zach LaVine and Vooch were playing like quasi all-star caliber players? Vooch is probably still, as of right now, on the trade market. Maybe they'll get a deal done for him. Maybe they won't.
Sure.
Maybe Vooch won't shoot lights out next season if he is still here like he did last season. But Zach LaVine ain't walking through that door.
No.
And Zach LaVine was a big piece of your team starting nearly 500 through a full first half of the season. I think some Bulls fans are just thinking, hey, 39-43, we just need to find our way to 7 or 8 more wins, and maybe we're sneaking into that top 6 spot. And I'm sitting here saying, you got to get all of those wins that you got last season in a variety of ways, all of which were not just Kobe and Josh being great in March.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I'm very excited to watch the beginning of the season because a lot of questions are going to get answered starting at game 1 about this Bulls team. And obviously who they play, you know what I'm saying, in that schedule is going to matter too because the teams they were playing late March, even though they were whooping them, were teams who were already kind of setting what they wanted to do. But, my God, game 1 is going to matter so much. You know what I mean? Like from the on-start, man. So how the Bulls come out and how they play and how they perform is just going to say a whole lot about what this season is going to be because everybody is going to really be kind of gunning for something. That's the other thing about the East being so quote-unquote wide open. Every game is going to truly matter when you're playing against each other in your conference. So there'll be no guys taking no games off, at least to start the season. When it gets, made up and figured out later on for sure. But to kick off the seasons all the way to the midseason tournament, all the way to that all-star break, it's going to mean something. So questions will be answered from game 1 about this team.
I guess the way I'm thinking about this is, okay, let's have the optimistic outlook of Modest takes a big step forward next year.
Let's go.
And Giddey continues to play close to the level that he was at in March. And Kobe does the same. And the defense continues to be around 15th. I think it was even higher than that down the stretch of last season. But let's say they can cobble together a solid defensive team. They can have an internal improvement from their young guys. Maybe they turn Vooch into something else, or maybe they find a different starting center. Right. Maybe their draft pick hits. Let's say everything kind of goes right within the realm of possibility. And you feel like if you're Arturis that you are in that same category with, I mentioned the Bulls being a tier below some of these other teams and they're just being a giant tier right above them. Mm-hmm. Let's say they can step into that just by virtue of their own internal improvements. If you're Arturis, are you thinking now this is an opportunity for me to take a swing and make a move that can put us towards the top of that group or level us up again? Because that's, I think, the question that when Bulls fans talk about there being an open East or like them being able to take a step forward. To me, that's the real question is like, is this going to be time? Is this going to be go time for Arturas to really make a move? He's got his contract extension. He's not worried about the job security there. They have all their assets. They have flexibility. They can trade expiring contracts. They can, like, they have avenues to improve their team if there is somebody that becomes available. And I wonder if that would be something that he looks to now.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying getting game one is going to be so important because they get off to that. He's going to go for it. Absolutely.
I think there are some teams that didn't bother doing a whole lot of in-depth scouting when the Bulls came up on their schedule in March and April.
True.
This is the Bulls. Go ahead and try and keep the turnovers down.
That's fair.
Maybe watch Kobe. But like when teams have an off season to look at and game plan for this Bulls roster, assuming it's going to look like a lot like the one that finished last season.
Yeah.
I don't know if that go out and play fast mantra is going to yield as positive results as the ones we saw down the stretch last season.
I mean, it's fair because, again, teams will be ready for it this time and be prepared for what you're trying to do out there. So they'll have tape on what you like to do, and they also have tape on how to stop it because they'll just put in the play-in game and show that beautiful beam footage. But yeah, man, like I said, this is why I'm excited about the season because who they get in this draft is going to be incredibly important. And then how they come out and they play as a unit in game one is just going to be totally important, man. They have to get off to a good start. They can't start off slow and then, thinking they're going to come back. Not this year, and how the East kind of is, man. Guys are going to be a little extra scrappy, I think, in that conference.
I also think, if you look at what the Pacers did well this season, especially from January 1st on and obviously through the playoffs, it was a lot of the same stuff that Arturas has talked about.
Yeah.
Play with pace, play with tempo, shoot more threes, have more action in terms of driving downhill, and kind of shell shock teams with your physicality in terms of the pace of play. And I think every year what happens is teams assess the state of the league based on who wins and who doesn't. And they see a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, defensively, wings, fast pace, physicality oriented, and they see a team like the Pacers who gets up and down, who shoots a lot of threes, who play with force and effort for 48 minutes, and they try to emulate that. And Arturas, to his credit, was early on that. He saw that was going to be the way that the league was going and started to cater his team and his roster build towards that before it got cool or whatever. He started doing that earlier this year, and it worked kind of in tandem with the way that the Pacers did it. And so, you have to give him credit for that, for seeing that early. Obviously, you can quibble with execution and all this other stuff, but
I will.
I think you do have to give him credit for that. And so I wonder now if teams who evaluated the Thunder and the Pacers are going to see this and try to start to adjust their play style and their roster build and their identity to try to emulate what they saw as being successful this past season. And if that happens, are they going to be then inherently more ready to defend the Bulls? Are they going to be better than the Bulls by virtue of having more talent than them? Because even though they're playing the same style, those things cancel out, and now they have more talent. So I do wonder if the league will kind of catch up to the Bulls in that way and just be more ready for them in that sense.
Yeah, it's quick turnover like that in the league, man. It's not going to take long for teams to figure that out and get to that point. But the Bulls have to be ready for that, man, and we'll find out if they are.
Right. Rob in the comments asking, also, what amount of wins gets you that 6th seed and the play-in, because it varies year to year? Does it? I mean,
well, we know 39 ain't going to do it. So
I think
39 is not getting you the 6th seed.
Yeah.
Even with these injured players on these key teams.
Right, exactly. I
mean, this past year there were 2 60-plus win teams, 2 50-win teams, and then it was 48, 44, 41, 37, 40, 39. I don't think there's going to be 2 60-win teams next year. There might be one. There's probably not going to be 2 50-win teams. Maybe every team, 2 through 8 or 9 has 45 wins.
Right.
And you're talking about the league when you say this?
In the East.
In the East.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I also don't think you could just bank on how many wins on top of 39 will the Bulls have next year. I don't think you can just start from that default spot.
Yeah.
I don't.
You don't think you can start from 39 and go up or down?
No, I'm saying I don't think you can start from 39 and only assume up.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Go the other way.
Okay. All right.
Even if they're not trying to.
All right.
With our remaining time, we wanted to touch on, of course, the other gigantic news from yesterday in the NBA. Kevin Durant finally getting moved after lots of speculation. It is the Houston Rockets who strike a deal with Phoenix, sending him to Houston for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick on Wednesday night, and then 5 second-round picks on top of that. Initial thoughts on the return, gentlemen? I think this was like I was listening to Windhorst describe it on some ESPN show on Twitter earlier today, and it was like the price got so low to a point where the Rockets couldn't say no, and that was his read on it. A lot of people think this is a steal for Kevin Durant. I also acknowledge Kevin Durant is getting up there.
Sure.
And Jalen Green, Brooks, the number 10 pick, and 5 seconds is not nothing.
Yeah.
When you are in a situation where you have to trade a guy.
Yeah.
And like the offers are what they are.
Yeah, I honestly didn't feel like anybody got robbed on this. I just felt like everybody walked away with something that they wanted in this. Like, one, you get Kevin Durant, like you mentioned, he's still getting up there, but that's still 25 and like 8 a game, and one of the greatest shooters that we've ever seen in our lives. So he's still that, and he's somebody who in the playoffs, and that's strictly what they got him for. You get him in the playoffs, half court all day long, give him the ball, we're done. And Phoenix, you're about trying to reestablish what your identity is and trying to figure out who you are now as a team with Devin Booker as the head of it. So what do you put around it? Well, let me get a goon in Dillon Brooks. Let me get a guy in Jalen Green who I might trade. They still might, get something extra for a guy like Jalen Green. And then you secure some stuff for your future with a bunch of second-round picks, because guess what? You can still use those to get first-round picks in trades and things of that nature, or when you're swapping out another player or something like that. You can still use those things. So it gave them leverage, and it gave them a little something for their future. And so I didn't think it was bad. And also it put them in the draft this year, too. Let me throw that part in as well. Gives them the number 10 pick, which I have questions now how that's going to affect the Chicago Bulls and what they might be wanting to do as far as a draft pick is concerned. So I know Phoenix needs like a center and a point guard, so curious to see kind of how they go in the draft, but it set up their future. It gave them a vision and it gave them a path, and Houston's path is we're trying to get to a championship. So I think everybody kind of walked away with what they kind of wanted.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything like novel to say about this. Obviously, Durant had a couple of different suitors and wanted to go where he wanted to go, and it sounds like he kind of just said no until
Right.
I mean, he's an
Small win for the Bulls that it wasn't the Heat that got the deal done.
I guess it's like he is up for an extension, so he had a lot of leverage in these negotiations and basically got himself to where he wanted to go. Not only that, but he prevented them from giving up so much that there wouldn't be enough there to compete once he arrived. And I think that's a pretty key part too, is you basically look at what the Suns gave up or what the Rockets gave up. It's like a rotation player in Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green, who was like a no-show in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a really good trade for Houston. I think KD can sort of age gracefully there. You're with this unreal defensive unit that can kind of carry you and keep you afloat during the regular season. And now you can come in and basically be the answer to all their questions in terms of offense in the half court. And for the Suns, like, they just didn't have a lot of negotiation. Like, I was talking to my brother about this. He was like apoplectic that the Suns didn't get enough, that Jalen Green is a horrible contract. How could you just get that? You turned 5 first-round picks, Mikal Bridges, who later went for 5 first-round picks, and Cam Johnson, into Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, and the 10th pick. I mean, that's malpractice. But at the same point, it's like, what else could they have done?
Yeah.
I mean, the offers just weren't there. He didn't want to go to Minnesota, and it was the Spurs or the Rockets. And, like, I don't know that the Spurs were really in a position where this was the right time for them to trade for KD. And so this is just kind of how it goes. And you can contrast it with the Desmond Bane thing, 4 picks. Yeah. Like, it just kind of is what it is when this is what the market is. And when a team like Arturis, we talked about, goes hard after a target, that changes the calculus. Mm-hmm. So for the Suns, like, I don't know what their deal is. They are just kind of like a...
What are you doing?
Island of misfit toys. Obviously, like, Booker.
Our guy
awesome.
Fish saying in the comments, the Suns can't be done trading. Maybe there are more moves to come.
Yeah,
I saw some aggregator report on Twitter yesterday that was like, the Suns are making Bradley Beal available as,
Bradley Beal,
as opposed to when they weren't before.
Well,
no duh.
John Gambadoro, who does radio down there, was saying like they're just going to either cut him or trade him. Like he's not going to be on the team next year. Maybe they try to trade Jalen Green. It sounds like they might want to keep him. They obviously have the 10th pick, and we could talk about that. But they're just like not a fully painted picture right now. Like they're kind of a mess with their roster, and they didn't get any savings with this. Like they're still up above the second apron. They've got to get beneath that. They still don't really have like a very bright future or a bright present. And
see, I disagree with that. I think it really does give them a vision though about what they want to do. Like giving me that many picks and then giving me back into this draft when I wasn't in it at all, and you putting me in the top 10. That's giving me some kind of vision out there.
I guess the question is though, like, are they going to now turn around those assets and try to continue to compete, or are they going to really strip it down?
No, they're not going to. No, I don't think they're trying to compete.
Or are they going to do the thing where it's like they add some young players, and
they're going
they
young.
Still are a good team, but they're not going to tank because they still have
but
too
the
many
West
players.
will dictate that they're going to have to tank anyway.
Right.
But have also been very consistent in their insistence upon we're not getting rid of Booker. Devin Booker is a son. He's a son for life. He wants to be a son for life.
Right.
So if you're Devin Booker, and some of the things he was saying recently after they bowed out early, didn't even make the playoff action in the West, like knowing we were so close. Remember that quote he had about how, they went to the finals and lost to Giannis and the Bucks 21.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago. How is it that I feel so far removed from championship contention now?
Right.
You know that they're not going to just steer towards a tank as long as they got Devin Booker.
Yeah, but they might not have a choice in the matter because they're in the West, and the West will send you down to the
West will make you tank. Make you tank without trying,
without even trying, because you're not beating. You like, Minnesota one night, the Lakers the next night, OKC right after that on the back-to-back. Like you won't have a say-so in that unless you're playing like Utah or Portland or somebody like that. But yeah, man, like I just think it gives them some kind of wiggle room and some kind of hope of like, okay, we got a path of where we want to go, or at least where I think we're going to go, which is go younger and go down this long, dusty road, which is going to be a really tough season that we're about to have. But we're going into it with a top 10 pick. We're going in with Devin Booker, and we're going in with a bunch of picks that we can actually use to see if we can shore out our roster, man. Because outside of that, goes right. They don't really have anything.
Well, what's interesting is that, like, they still don't have any of their own future picks. Like they're not in a position to tank. So I wonder if they aren't going to try to turn some of these guys into a center,
right?
And still maybe not like understand that they're not going to be competing at the highest level, but try to get themselves back into the play-in mix, if not the playoffs.
It's going to be a tough few seasons for them, man, for sure.
Our guy Rob saying that he wished that it was still Houston at 10 and not the Suns. That's the other thing that people are talking about now is, does this change draft night at all?
Yeah, that's
you got
my
a different team, including a team that is 2 picks above the Bulls at 12, making a selection on top of all of the various reports and whispers going around, even going back to the Combine here in Chicago last month, that a lot of teams are interested in moving up in this first round, and there are also teams that could be open to moving down in this first round. And then which of those teams find themselves ready to be partnered on the dance floor for a potential draft night trade? And are the Bulls one of those teams? And is that different, greater likelihood, lesser likelihood, now that we know that this KD trade has happened and it's affected a top 10 pick?
Phoenix, this is my opinion. I think they're going to be open to trading down. Again, you got a gift right here in this number 10 pick. That's the only gift you got right there. You got some leverage a little bit. So if somebody is still there that a team at 12, hello Bulls, 13 or 14 wants, you have some wiggle room right there to say, hey, what you want to give me for this?
Right.
And then I can move down because we know what their season is going to be next year, regardless if they keep the pick or if they traded them. We know what they're going to be. So you can still get somebody for your future and still be as ass as I think you're going to be in that next season and maybe the season after as well. Who knows? But, yeah, man, I think that they'll be open to listening to these teams that might want to trade up. It just, for me, all depends on who's there. If they have somebody that they're just set on, they're like, we really want this guy. And even if they are, just still take the call, bro. Like, y'all in a tough situation. Take the call, see what these teams want to offer you because it could be beneficial to your future.
Yeah, I just don't really know what they want. Like, what do they have a bunch of 2 guards. They have a couple of guys that can slide up to 3 in Dylan Brooks and in Ryan Dunn. They have a couple of guys that can slide down to point. I mean, you can say what you want about Bradley Beal, but, like, he's not bad as a facilitator. They may bring back Tyus Jones. Like, they kind of need a 4 and a 5. maybe they would have interest in a guy like Vooch if they wanted to try to continue competing and get a center in there for a price that is not super high.
Fish just asked, they want Vooch?
I mean, it's possible.
Can we interest you in a Vooch?
I think Lonzo would be like a terrific fit there in terms of a guy that could help grease the wheels of the offense a little bit around Beal and help make guys better. So maybe the Bulls could get involved with them. But in terms of, like, I got a lot of questions yesterday about, like, what does this mean for the Bulls? I think it changes who's going to be gone in front of them in the draft.
Yeah.
And maybe that is Queen. Maybe that is Malawach, like, if they're in the market for a center. Or maybe it's another trade. And maybe it's somebody that either wants to swoop in ahead of the Bulls, or maybe the Suns want to turn that into a player. Like, I think that there's just going to be even more optionality here at the NBA draft on Wednesday.
That's going to do it for those of you watching on our various streaming services. If you want that bonus coverage, just head to allchgo.com for that overtime content. People in the comments guessing now as far as what Phoenix could do with 10. Travis saying Queen Malawach. Somebody else was Brazil Popular saying Malawach or Queen. Travis said Carter Bryant or Queen in play for the Suns, who might be looking for that big to add to their front court. And like, that's, names that Bulls fans have been talking about of, like, who's your wish list guy to be there, who's maybe unexpectedly fallen all the way to 12. Sure. Just like Modest fell all the way to 11 in the Bulls' lap last year. And I think some people think that it's very possible Derek Queen could be that guy who falls to 12. But I think it's also, to me, like, if a lot of teams are seeing him fall, is that still a guy who you feel good about, like, stealing if there's a reason he's falling? I've also, like, it doesn't sound from various whispers that the Bulls are super high on Derek Queen. Okay. Seems like I've heard a lot more names more frequently than Derek Queen. Yeah. The one I still think is the pipe dream is Malawach. Like, I just don't see him falling to 12. And talking about the Bulls trading up, whereas if you're Phoenix and people are offering you something because somebody fell to 10 and they say, that's our guy, we want that guy, makes all the sense in the world if you're the Suns to say, all right, cool, we'll add a little bit of extra stuff and trade back. I still think the Bulls 2 spots after that is their best case scenario. Is that they're at 12 and they say, all right, this guy's here, but some team who's got a pick in the 20s or something loves some guy who's on the board at 12. Yeah. And the Bulls say, what do you give us for him? I still think that's best case scenario on draft night. Yeah,
I just like – I feel like I've really tried to consider what would a trade up look like, what would the cost be, what would a trade down look like, how far back would you end up? And to me it's like I think they should just stay put. Like, I just don't think – maybe when they're on the clock and like 2 or 3 guys are available that they want, and if they move back 4 or 5 slots, they know they can get one of them. Like, okay, maybe fine taking that risk. But, like, to me, once you get past the, like, clear top 10, top 14 range of, like, obviously Cooper, Harper, Ace, VJ, Khan is my top 4. And then you have, like, Fears, you have Queen, you have Malawach, Trey Johnson, Colin Murray-Boyles, Essengay, Yakachonis, Coward, Carter Bryant, and Sorber. Like, that's the 15 where I would want one of those 15 guys.
Right.
And so
that second group of names is, you're hoping if you're the Bulls, some collection of a few of those guys are on the board at 12.
I don't think it would be wise to move back for Nick Clifford or Jace Richardson or Will Riley or Drake Powell if it's going to be like a pick around 20, because I just don't feel like the value is quite there. Maybe you get another first-round pick.
I was going to say, if it includes adding another first-round pick on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, that changes it for sure. But to me, like, I'd rather just take whoever's there at 12 and be happy with that, because I think basically there's 14 or 15 guys in this draft that I'd be comfortable with. There's 2 guys I would really want. There's about 8 guys that I'd feel good about, 4 or 5 guys that I'm like, okay. And beyond that, I'm just not super excited about anybody in terms of fit, and certainly not at 12. Like, I'd rather take Thomas Sorber at 12. I feel better about the value of Thomas Sorber at 12 than the value of Baron J or Reno,
or like Danny Wolf or something like that in like the early 20s.
I just wouldn't feel
that's fair.
Like that's a good value proposition.
That's fair.
Yeah,
So
Travis, I see you in the comment. Don't put that evil on me.
Go ahead,
don't you put that evil on Bulls fans.
Yeah, Gordon, man, Chicago Bull.
As we wrap up here, just another quick reminder to take advantage of that Make Your Move Die Hard sale going on right now, allchgo.com. If you aren't a Die Hard, you've been thinking about it for a while. Now is the chance because that intro offer just $36. That is a 55% discount of our usual Die Hard sign-up price. Act now. Get access to that incredible Die Hard draft guide made by our one and only Will Gottlieb over the next few days before Wednesday night's draft, on top of all the other great perks. Hang on that Discord with your fellow diehards. Get the discounts when you shop and all that jazz. We still got plenty ahead here, CHGO Sports. We have White Sox postgame tonight, Sean?
Yes.
Boom. Yeah. As well as CHGO Cubs rocking a postgame show later tonight. Baseball on baseball on baseball.
Hell yes.
Hoops is done. The hockey's is done. All we got is baseballs.
That's it.
Until NFL training camps.
That's it. But we got a draft on Wednesday.
We do have an NBA draft.
Free agency. Summer
League.
It's all happening.
We do have more hoops this summer.
Did you just step it right there on there? Is that what you just did with the one? Well done.
Goat's giving the 99. That means we'll get out of here. Follow the Goat. Will_Gottlieb. Read his stuff. AllCHGO.com. Big Dave is at Bow. BAWL Sports.
Bow.
I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Shout out to the king of the controls today, the one and only Sean Anderson. Katie Duffy, the queen, will be back with us tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time for our usual live showtime. See you then. Have a great Monday night. See you, everybody. Good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.
Bow. Bow.